Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This one is about Shatterline and the controller optimization. Now, before we get started, I need to let you all know that yes, I will put in the description the timestamp so that you can skip to the part if you just want to know how to set up your controller. But I will tell you, this is not a settings or a sense video. So in this video, we're not even going to be opening Shatterline. We're not going to be talking about the sense, what sense I use, none of that. We're talking about the controller optimization and how to best have it set up before we even get into the game. I'm still working on my sense. That's why I don't want that in this video right now. I'm still working on that, still fine-tuning it. Again, if you watched the original video, thank you, because that was during the playtest and those settings were good during the playtest. All right, so let's get into it because there's a couple things I want to talk to you all about because there's been tons of comments on my sense, my controller sense video that I did a few days ago. I think it's like almost 2 weeks now. If you did comment on that video and I wasn't able to respond to you or help you out if you had an issue, I'm sorry. Again, I got cast in a movie, so I was filming a movie for a little over a week, and that took up a lot of my time. I was there for about 12 to 15 hours a day, and then I was sleeping in between that. So I can't wait for you guys to all be able to watch that movie. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Shatterline is only available on Steam right now. They said in their Discord and in their frequently asked questions, their facts, that it's going to be coming to console at some point. I don't know how it's going to play out on console because one, they don't have a publisher, and two, they seem to not be able to get controllers to work properly on the game. All right, so I have figured out what the actual problem is and why controllers don't feel good. The first thing we need to note is that there are three different types of controllers that most people have had questions about. That is Xbox controllers, PS5 controllers, and PS4 controllers. Your PS4 controllers are not going to work at all. Okay, there is no controller optimization in Shatterline for a PS4 controller. I haven't even plugged mine in and messed with configurations in Steam and seeing if, maybe I can get it to read as a PS5 controller. I haven't tried that. Maybe I will if some people are still struggling with PS4 controllers, or maybe they don't have a PS5 or an Xbox controller to use instead. Then I can try that and I can do my best to see if there is a way to do that. Okay, so if you have to use a PS4 controller, what you can do is you can download DS4, right? DS4 Windows is a software application that's free to download from a third party. It's someone out there made this a while ago, and they've made some updates to it. So you can use the DS4 Windows software. The reason why I only say that PS4 controller users should use that is because DS4 Windows is not needed for your PS5 controller. It's not needed for your Xbox controller either. So I'm going to clue you guys in a little bit about what DS4 Windows does, what it's for, and why you actually don't need it at all for any of the games that you play. So at first, DS4 Windows was created because not every game, not every launcher on PC was controller compatible automatically, right? You could technically plug a controller in and use it for some games, and some games you couldn't. All right, so here's the best example of this. If you have Xbox Game Pass PC version, right? You have Xbox Game Pass and the launcher on your PC, you can play games with controllers and they have controller mappings, but they are mapped out for your Xbox controllers. If you plug in a PS5 or a PS4 controller, it's real finicky. You can't do, half the buttons don't even work, and you can't, the games are unplayable, right? So what you do is you plug in your controller and then use DS4 Windows, and then you're able to play those games. Now, why is this, some people say? And the answer is because DS4 Windows turns any controller into an Xbox controller. That's basically what it does. It is because Xbox is made by Microsoft and Windows is made by Microsoft. So they have that ability to have the compatibility with Xbox controllers. So the easiest way to do that is to turn every controller into an Xbox controller. Now, here is the disconnect where everyone thinks that you need DS4 Windows to play games with controllers. You don't. Steam actually has configurations and is compatible for PS4 controllers, PS5 controllers, Xbox, every Xbox controller out there, even generic controllers, which are technically like Battle Beavers and Scuff controllers and all these third-party controllers that have paddles and other modifications and stuff. Those are technically generic controllers because they're not actually made from Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo. And Steam also has compatibility and configurations for Nintendo controllers. So any controller that you plug in, and a Steam controller, any controller that you plug in will be able to work in Steam. Now, if the game, like Shatterline, that is on Steam does not have controller support or controller configuration, that is when you are going to use DS4 Windows. But 99% of all games are going to either have crossplay or controller support if they don't have crossplay, right? So the other example of why you would need to use DS4 Windows is if, some of you who are still on the channel played Rogue Company, right? And you know me from Rogue Company. If you play Rogue Company on Steam, you can plug in a PS4 controller, a PS5, or an Xbox controller, and you can play it right away. That's fine. But if you were to play Rogue Company on Epic, on the Epic Games launcher, you can use Xbox controllers and PS4 controllers, but PS5 controllers don't get read. This is a problem with Epic Games where they don't have full controller support. They actually don't have a way to change your configurations or anything of that sort as well for your controllers. So a lot of games on Epic might not be able to be played with a PS5 controller. So what do? You plug it in through DS4 Windows and you're able to turn it into an Xbox controller. Now with Epic, that doesn't always work because sometimes Epic doesn't allow third parties to like read through them sometimes on certain games, whatever. So that's fine. Now, let's get down to what DS4 Windows does not do, okay? And that is what people think it does, and that is create input or takes away your input delay. So a lot of people in Rogue Company especially thought that they were losing input delay because of DS4 Windows, whether they were using an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. All right, so I'm going to clue you in real quick on something else that you need to know. PS4 controllers are completely different than PS5 controllers. And I'm not talking about just how they look and feel and all of that jizz, okay? PS5 controllers are read and their firmware is more similar to Xbox controllers than PS4 controllers, which is why they're totally different. They're a different beast. You can use PS4 controllers on your PS5, but you can't use PS5 controllers on your PS4, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. They're more similar with their firmware and software inside of them, like to Xbox controllers than they are PS4 controllers, which means that their input delay by default is the same as Xbox controllers, which means you don't need to do anything because it's the same, which is, I think, like, I forgot the default, but it's pretty quick, right? So I'm going to tell you two different ways that you can decrease your input delay without using DS4 Windows, which again is going to force your controller to be read as Xbox, which means that all the other, however you think your controller feels in the game without DS4 will change because of that. The best example is, again, if you play Rogue Company on Steam and you use just your PS5 controller, it actually feels different and the aim assist is not as sticky as a PS4 controller. And then if you run the PS5 controller through DS4 Windows, it becomes even less sticky and more, right? However you want to describe it, it becomes more loose. It's not actually because you have less input delay. It's because it's being ran as a controller through another controller's firmware and then being masked as a different controller once again. Okay, so if you want to decrease your input delay even further, what you want to do is you want to play with your controller plugged in the entire time. Okay, do not use the Bluetooth. There is a delay when sending that Bluetooth signal. Okay, that's option number one. Number two is you actually download a third-party program. I forgot the name of it, but I have it on my desktop. Maybe I'll put the link in the description if I find it. No promises. And you can actually decrease the polling rate, right? And then there's another program that you can download to test it to see if it's working. I've done this, and I play with my controller plugged in, and my input delay is as close to 0 as possible, and I don't need to run DS4 Windows. Okay, so now enough of all of that. Let's talk about one more thing for my PlayStation users before we show you the actual configuration. Okay, so if you go to the PlayStation website or the Sony website, whatever, for PlayStation, you can download your firmware updater for your DualSense wireless controllers. Nothing for PS4 has been updated in a while, but your PS5 controller actually just got an update, I think yesterday or the day before, which was September 11th or September 10th. So the 10th or 11th, there was a firmware update. What you need to do is you need to charge your controller first. So if you have a PS5, charge it that way because it won't actually charge through your PC as quickly. It'll take like 2 days or something. It doesn't need to be charged all the way either. You can plug it into like a wall charger too, like your phone charger wall piece. You can plug it in there for like 30 minutes. That's enough of a charge. Then you're going to plug it into the computer, and then you're going to open this, and this is what it looks like. There's no options, there's no menus, there's no nothing. As you can see, mine says it's up to date. If yours is not, there will be a button here that says update. You click that, and it takes about 2 minutes tops if you have slow internet. If not, faster. Mine's faster than that. So if you have slow internet, it'll take up like 2 minutes. But that's very important that you keep your controller up to date with its firmware. So that is what you're going to do for your PS5 controller. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open Steam. We're not going to open the game. We're not going to do anything of that sort. What we're going to do is we're going to go to View, and then we're going to go to Big Picture mode. Now, I've done this a few times for some other games as well. Rogue Company, Call of Duty, everything of that nature, or maybe just Rogue Company. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to hide my cam so that you can see this. All right, so under your settings, you're going to go to settings right here, and you're going to see the controller has 3 categories: your on-screen keyboard, your base configurations, and your controller settings. The first thing you want to do is you want to go to controller settings, and you want to make sure that the only thing that is checked is the controller that you're using, right? So I have a PlayStation 5 controller, and we're going to choose PlayStation configuration support. If you have an Xbox, you're going to choose Xbox. And then there's also Nintendo button layout. There's Switch. If you are using Nintendo, make sure you use both of these. If you're using any kind of controller that is not of those 3, make sure you click generic gamepad configuration support. Okay? You're going to turn off everything else, and you're going to make sure that your controller shutdown time is on never. Then we're going to go to our base configurations. For desktop configuration, you want this to be blank. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Browse Configs, and you're going to click the recommended tab, and there should be one that says disabled. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click disabled. After you do that, you're going to apply. There's going to be an apply button here, and you're going to apply it. Okay? Then we're going to go to our big picture configuration. This one actually doesn't matter because we don't have big picture open while we're gaming. If you do, it's because you're playing Steam through your television. So make sure you do not have big picture open while you're actually gaming because we're going to exit out once we're done. So for this one, you can actually go to Browse Configs, and you can just use the official configuration for big picture. That's fine. As you can see, it says the recommended one for me is Xbox One controller. Again, PS5 controllers are similar to Xbox controllers when they're being read by Steam. The only difference is that it knows that it's a different controller. All right. Now, the third one is the most important one. This is your Steam button cord configuration, and this is the configuration that loads while you're actually playing games. So you're going to click on this. And as you can see, I have the keyboard, WASD, and mouse. And you can see all of these. Now, there is someone in the Shatterline community, and they've posted this in their Discord. And, they've like tried to explain it. Theirs is completely self-sufficient, where you have to actually go in there and map all of these yourself, and it's basically just this. And I'm guessing it's because they didn't know how to do what we're about to do. All right, so we're going to click on Steam button chord configuration. We're going to go to browse configs. Now you can see that this one is the recommended one. There's nothing there. I don't have any personal ones either. And then Scott D is like the default ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to templates. You can also go to community if you know someone who has some configuration that, is a good gamer, and maybe you want to use theirs, whatever. I don't care. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to templates. Now, templates, gamepad with flick stick is what we were using in the playtest, and it was working very well. But that one no longer works for Shatterline very well during the actual early release, which is the current state of the game. And you have gamepad with high precision camera / aim. By the way, if you actually still play Road Company, use this one, okay? Use this one. And then we have gamepad with mouse and gyro. Now, I see all of these because I have a PS5 controller plugged in. My buddy, Mikey, does not see all of these because he uses an Xbox controller. There's actually everyone who uses an Xbox controller does not see any of these. So some people have said to me, how do I get it? I can't see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show other controller types. Okay, we're going to click this thing at the bottom that says show other controller types. Now what this is going to do is it's going to create an even longer list, and a lot of them are doubled and are similar to each other. And that's because if you look in the bottom right of each one, there's a different controller for it. So if you want to use gamepad, PlayStation 4, gamepad, generic keyboard and mouse. Gamepad, PlayStation 3 controller, and then keyboard and mouse for PlayStation 3. So what we're going to do is if you're using a PS5 controller, you're going to look for keyboard, WASD, and mouse for the PlayStation 5 controller, which is this one. Now, if you're using an Xbox controller and you don't see the one for Xbox controllers that you want, which again, you probably won't because the new Xbox controllers don't actually get read as a different controller. There are two options you can do. You can, option number one, use the Xbox One controller, keyboard, WASD, and mouse setting right here, configuration. And if you don't see this one, or you don't want to use this one, you can actually use the PlayStation 5 one. It is the exact same thing because again, the PS5 and the Xbox controllers are the same thing. So, you'll have all of these to choose from. Now, again, if you're playing Road Company still, make sure you use the gamepad with high precision / camera / aim. Also, if you're still playing Road Company, I would suggest not using a PS5 controller because they're terribly optimized for that game. Use a PS4 controller. Now, let me turn my camera back on. Now, the reason why we're using this is because the main problem with controller support in Shatterline is not actually the optimization, and it's none of that stuff. It's actually the fact that aim assist on Shatterline is terrible. It is very, very strong. It's so strong that it doesn't work for you, it works against you. And the way that I have to explain this to you is that if there's two enemies in front of you and they're at the same distance, the aim assist actually is fighting against you. If I want to aim at the person at the left, it's trying to fight me to the right. And if I want to aim at the person at the right, it's fighting me to the left. It always does this, and it's working against me. So what we do is we use this controller configuration, keyboard, WASD, and mouse. And then when you get into the game, you turn off your turn accel completely. That's still a very good option. And what this does, from the best of my knowledge, is it cuts that aim assist by like 70%, maybe even 75, 80% at this point. So your aim assist won't be as strong, but it won't work against you, and you'll have more control over your aiming in Shatterline with a controller. Now, what does this mean? It does mean that you might have to turn down your sensitivity or have to start to get used to it again, because you're not going to be, if there's an enemy right here and you're like this, it's not going to pull you towards it as strongly anymore or away from it anymore. What's going to happen is you're going to look like you're drunk. You're going to be like this for a little bit, okay? So you're going to have to get used to it and maybe mess with your sense a little bit more. But this is the best configuration that I have found thus far for Shatterline. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, if you're liking this and what you were on before, because I'm always interested to know what people are using and if they have no idea. So once you're done with this, you're going to click done. You're going to click back. And then what you're going to do is click back here, and then you're going to exit big picture. And then there you go. And then you're able to play the game. Now, you can change you can enter big picture while you're in the game. You can tab out and then open big picture. But I wouldn't recommend it, because I want everything to go into effect and take effect once I get into the game, and I don't want to be in the game and maybe it doesn't take effect right away. So there you go. I'll be playing some more Shatterline, and of course, for this controller sense, I'm still working on it to make sure that I can find the best controller sense for you out there if you're waiting on that. For everyone else, have a good one. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and smash that thumbs up. Keep grinding, everyone.
Oh, hello there. It's Blue. I'm a terrible dancer, so ignore that version of me on the screen and listen to my voice when I say thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and of course, click on another video of mine. I heard you'll like those over there. They're pretty good.